Hey people, welcome back for another episode of The Jagged Edge. This is Ian here along with Chris.
Heidi-ho!
Hey, fresh off our review of Atomic Blonde. Both of us just saw that this weekend. We have that review posted on our channel. If you want to check that out, be sure to do so. Or if you're just in the mood for an action film,
Horrible.
do so. 2 out of 10, right?
I'm going to ruin it. Corey Feldman is the Atomic Blonde.
Why, Chris?
How many people even know who Corey Feldman still is?
Yeah. Hardly any.
He's a weird guy. You see what he does nowadays? With he's got some kind of weird cult and stuff, and it's weird. Anyways, no, good movie. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say, because you, without even noticing, you can end up spoiling something, which you almost started doing.
Almost. Not without your green light, my good man.
Yeah, be careful. Don't let out the secrets. No, that's a good movie. Highly recommend it. If you like spy movies, definitely recommend. If you want to see something a little bit different, I recommend it for that. If you don't like spy movies, you're not going to like this movie. Don't see it.
Definitely not.
Don't take your kids.
The good thing is, anything you've seen, trailer-wise, clip-wise, especially the action scenes, that does not ruin those scenes at all. They're done well, and I think you'll dig them.
Yep.
Good stuff.
We have some stuff. This was, this is actually kind of a slow week.
Yeah.
Everybody used all their stuff at Comic-Con last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of to be expected, right? I mean, once you use a grenade launcher up like that, you need some time to reload.
That's right.
Where do you go from there? I mean, there's still a couple things happening in gaming. I know most of my focus has been on the FGC fighting game community. Even that's been a little quiet because we just finished up EVO, tourney. But
and I thought it'd be fun for me, since it is kind of a slow week. Let's see what I can find for Nintendo news. And I found a couple things. I think you might be surprised by how I react to one of them, and I think the other one will be no surprise at all. I'm sure you saw that when I sent you over the notes. He's like, "Ooh, he's got Nintendo stuff."
I did. I said, "Here we go."
But that's not the first thing we got, though.
No, this is out of left field for me. I didn't hear a thing about this. James Cameron, Mr. Titanic himself, Mr. 10 sequels to what's that movie with the blue aliens? I forget. Oh, Independence Day? No,
not Independence Day.
They were kind of blue. I swear. Or green.
That movie. Okay. Well, anyways, you go. I'll find.
Okay. James Cameron sort of really blindsided us. At least blindsided me. Brand new Terminator.
Avatar.
Yeah, Avatar. Thank you. Which we still haven't seen the first sequel to it yet, but oh well.
No.
New Terminator trilogy being planned. James Cameron, same writer and director of the very first 2 Terminator movies. He's getting the U.S. rights back to the franchise, and he's in talks with David Ellison right now, who owns the global rights to the franchise. So we're talking about, looks like a reboot here? Reinvent?
Excuse me. Yep. Sorry, I just lost my breath there because I'm so excited about that. Complete retelling. There was something where he said that Arnold Schwarzenegger may have some kind of small supportive role or something, maybe like a cameo. But yeah, he's talking about a trilogy. They're looking into it. This is not even in really pre-production. This is like, can you still tell this story? And what part of the news piece was talking about how, in today's age with technology being what it is, and we are starting to see forms of AI, and that's becoming kind of a normal thing. Can you still tell this story? Can this still be a horrific and compelling sci-fi story? Can you reboot it? Can it exist, or has the world gone past? Or has the world had enough of Terminator movies?
Right.
Which led me to the most compelling question, because I don't think we've ever talked about Terminator movies. What are your feelings on the Terminator movies? Because I have seen them. I have invested much time into them.
My time in the Terminator sort of tapered off, I think, after T2. Yeah, so that kind of shows.
The last one, did you see Genesis?
Okay. What was the one with the female assassin in the red jacket? Which one was that?
That was the third one. That was the first really bad one.
That's the last one I saw.
Okay.
I didn't even see Genesis, no.
You didn't see... Oh, did you see Salvation?
I got no idea, man. Probably not.
Man. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what everybody knows. The first two are really good. The first one is a great, groundbreaking classic. The second one, even better. One of those rare situations where you're like, that's when a sequel is better than the original.
Yep.
Everybody agrees with that. Now, you get varying opinions on the last three, which is Terminator 3, then Terminator Salvation, and then Terminator Genesis. 3, I didn't enjoy. That's when James Cameron had jumped the ship. They got some horror director in. The 90s were tough on movies like this, horror in general. And Terminator movies have always had an element of horror to them, which is part of what made them great.
Right.
3 was not very good. The story was okay. There were some corny parts to it. 3 was not very good. I enjoyed Salvation. Now, Salvation was a reboot in what was supposed to be basically kind of a prequel trilogy where now they're in the future and they're telling the story as to how we got to Terminator 1. You understand?
No, I follow.
Okay. I really enjoyed Salvation. I thought it was a really good movie. Yes, there's some ridiculous plot holes to it, but you accept it for what it is that you're finally starting to see these glimpses that we used to see in the previous movies of what this future has turned into. Because they're leading off the third one, which is like Judgment Day is going to happen. And if I spoiled that for somebody, I'm really sorry that you didn't see a 1-year-old movie. But yeah, Judgment Day has happened. And I thought it was good in that respect. It's something that we'd always wanted to see. We're not quite there. Not everyone's using laser guns quite yet and stuff, but you're seeing Terminators walking around all over the place. They've basically taken over the world. Yes, there was some bad elements. It was great though. As far as telling that story in large part, it was really good in that regard. I enjoyed Salvation.
Cool.
Genesis was not very good. That's when they tried to reboot again. Schwarzenegger was in there, and he was the Terminator again. But it made sense as to why he was so old. This obviously did not do very well. We were supposed to get 2 more after that. One of them, I think, was supposed to come out last year. And James Cameron from time to time is just he said that he enjoyed Genesis, but he's just been kind of biding his time, waiting for when he can get this movie back. In fact,
interesting.
He's been quoted as saying though in the past, yeah, I'm not going to make another one. I'm just going to get the rights back, and we're going to let this die. Which I always thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. He does say that he may not make one. Maybe that's still talk. Maybe he's still hiding his true intentions. He gets back in something like 1.5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I think there's still a place for it if you tell the story right.
There is. James Cameron is very much... it's his visionary element that comes into play in things like this. I'm not completely doubting and saying, "Oh, we'll never see it." He's just, he's just flapping his gums or whatever. No, I think there's a number of things on his plate that he'd like to do. I think it's when they work in. Speaking of sci-fi, I know he's been actually dying to do a manga adaptation of Battle Angel Alita. He loves that story.
That, to me, was just a bunch of words put together that are supposed to mean something.
I know, right? I was like, Chris, this isn't going to fly well with Chris at all, but I know sci-fi is near and dear to his heart. And there's, besides those projects, there's a couple other things doing anyway. So I don't doubt him. I definitely think he's committed enough and, definitely has a drive for it. We'll see it at some point. Just depends when.
Do you think that we'll get all these Avatar movies that we're supposed to be getting? I think we're supposed to be getting 4 Avatar movies.
That's a lot, man. Look, yeah, I'm fine with just one. Honestly,
I don't want to see one.
If you're gonna, if you're gonna do it, do one. But that's just me.
I thought it was a great one shot that told a really good story.
It did.
From start to finish. I think 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That would have been a great idea. Well, maybe not even 10 years. I don't think it's quite 10 years old. But several years ago, I think that would have been a great idea. A lot of what was so great about that movie was how groundbreaking the special effects were.
Definitely.
And total props to him for waiting 20 to 30 years on wanting to tell this story and waiting until the technology was there to do it. I don't know. But would I like more Terminator? Yes. Because you know what? Terminator movies, there was a TV show, there's been toys, there's been 10 billion movies. This thing is mass production theater. And I'm used to that. So I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be great. You're not, well, I shouldn't say you're not, because it is James Cameron, and he is an exceptional director. So I was about to say you're not going to be able to recapture what you had with the first two. Actually, he's one of the few people that I would say, you know what, he can make lightning strike and does it time and again. So maybe he could. But yeah, do it. Hey, if the question comes down to money, I'll pay $10 to go back and see a reboot.
Sure. Heck, I might as well jump on board. I mean, I missed so much other Terminator stuff. Hey, why not start from scratch?
You should see Terminator Salvation.
All right.
I get some people's complaints when it comes to some of the stuff in there. Logic does fail in a couple areas, but then again, we're talking about time traveling cyborg. So I don't know how much logic was there to begin with.
You gotta draw the line somewhere.
Right. I mean, come on, you've already lifted the veil a bit, so accepting of some logical points missing is okay.
All right.
All right. Well, so that's a thing.
You might have sequel issues in one corner, but how about more Justice League issues?
Let's hear it.
So the reshoots for Justice League are taking a lot longer and costing a lot more than what was originally set, what was originally planned. There's some extra shooting for Ezra Miller and Mr. Henry Cavill, a.k.a. Soups, are starting to bleed into schedules for other movies. So much so that it turns out that producers for MI6 are refusing to let Henry Cavill shave his mustache for the movie. So apparently that's just going to be removed in post?
My misspelling is completely throwing you off. It's Henry Cavill.
What? Well, okay. I think I said Cavill first, but then Cavill second. Regardless, semantics.
Totally my fault. Yeah, here I was not surprised by this at all. This whole thing has been a train wreck, which I hope ends up being great. But the production on this thing has been a train wreck from start to finish, along with a lot of the DC movies. So when I heard about this, was I surprised in the slightest? No. But what is hilarious to me is the situation with the mustache. That is great. Like he's working on Mission Impossible 6 right now, and the production on that is like, no, you cannot shave your mustache. They're gonna have to digitally remove his mustache. That is so awesome. And anybody who's heard that is going to be watching that the whole time.
Yep.
That he's in there is like, can you see it?
Can you see?
Does it look good? I mean, so it's so great. It's just going to completely take away from that. It's just hilarious. It's like, God, get your stuff together. Am I wrong? How do you feel about this?
No, it's just one of those facepalm moments. We've been, especially the last few months, we've been going back and forth about the issues with some of the DC films, the rewrites, some of the recasting, some of the change of the leadership, change of the hands, change of the directors, change of the scripts, and now we actually do hit the filming portion of it. There's all these collisions. I mean, of course, actors aren't tied and bound specifically just to one group. They got other things, they got other movies they got to work on, but I rarely ever hear about, I think, something colliding with the filming for another movie like that. So.
Yeah, they're reportedly over $25 million into reshoots.
Oh my gosh!
It's so awesome. This thing better be the stuff. They did principal photography for this, I think, over a year ago.
Wow.
So the pro to this, because I want to just talk about the concept. The pro to this is that it is Joss Whedon, and while most of what he's doing is just kind of putting together the scenes, doing a lot of the one thing, ironically, I can't think of right now. Basically, this is a lot of filler stuff that they're working on. It's not supposed to, nothing really dramatic, but I can appreciate the fact that they're taking the time to do it right.
Right.
That I like that they're going the opposite of the route that they did with Suicide Squad, where they're like, just chop all this shit. Don't even work on it. And then we got that haphazard crap that we got. So I appreciate that. I hope this is great.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's so funny.
DC. At the end of the day, I'll tell you what. We'll just have an Infinite Crisis, and we'll get it all over with. And we'll just
that's what they're going to do anyways. And then you can just have Superman with the mustache.
See,
with the mustache.
And see, you could say that's New 52 Superman, or maybe Earth 3. I don't know.
Oh, it's so good. So one of the other things did you say the part about Joss Whedon maybe not getting credit?
No, that I didn't mention.
Yeah, so he may not be getting credit as a director for this. Some people are freaking out about that. That's not a big deal. That's actually kind of normal in these situations where, I mean, I think we talked about that with maybe I know you and I have talked about when it comes to Rogue One.
Oh yeah.
For reshoots, they'll have completely different directors go and do the reshoots. It happens. Not a big deal. I think a lot of people want that name on there just to say, hey, see, it wasn't just Zack Snyder.
Right.
This is Joss Whedon too, because everybody hated what Zack Snyder did. The dude can frame an awesome shot.
Heck yeah.
I don't think he should be alone as far as everything that's going on in these movies, like turning Batman into a serial murderer. But dude can frame an awesome shot. He's good with that for sure. But Joss Whedon, on the other hand, is great at creating characters and building scenes around the characters that are supposed to be in it. So kind of the opposite in that regard. I can't wait. For 4 months? Yeah. Just about 3-4 months.
Well, one way or another, man.
God, they're still shooting, and it's 3 months away. That's kind of crazy. I mean, it's not but yeah, that's not good.
That's still taking it to the wall for such a big budget movie like this. I mean,
he should be wrapping up special effects right now.
Yeah.
Most of this should be in the can.
Come on, DC. Come on. We're pitching for you.
Awesome.
Well, before
that's it for movie news. So
that's all we got for movies. Do you want to talk about SCS first?
Oh, do I? Yes. No.
Okay, let's
say that. Let's go to your movie.
I'm gonna
not a movie thing, but your topic related to movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a turn into Capcom realms here. That is for something I've been waiting for pretty urgently. I followed the Marvel vs. Capcom series since the first game. Heck, since we started doing crossovers, Marvel superheroes and then X-Men vs. Street Fighter and that whole thing. As we said in previous shows, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is going to be the next entry in the crossover series. The official release, if you have not seen it, it is posted. It is 9/9/17. The demo has been out. It's out this week. I had a chance to just get hands-on with that and really check it out, dive in, and I can say the thing that I'm really enjoying about this, gameplay-wise, and it's something that Maximilian and his channel and a lot of others in the FGC have pointed to, that the feel of MVC2 is there in terms of the gameplay as far as how you're inputting combos and things like that. I really like that because that just felt right. You had a light punch, your light kick, your mediums, a heavy. Supers were simple. There weren't a whole lot of multiple entry, like for your heavier combos. You had to know what you were doing, like the air juggles and stuff, and how to link and do your counters. But it feels right. It's fluid, plays well. I really dig that. I was able to sit down, and in the short demo, it's just part of the story mode. They put you in control of like Thor, Rocket Raccoon, Captain America at one point, Chris Redfield. You make your way.
Whoa! You just glanced right by what my biggest question was: which characters could you play as in this demo?
I'm getting there. Hold on.
Okay, excuse me.
You get Chris Redfield and all the others, and as you're, each of those I was able to sit down and actually, play. I was able to connect those pretty well. The ones who had some parallels to like previous MVCs or like MVC2 felt right at home, and that's a really good sign for me. The entire roster wasn't released yet, as far as like who you're actually able to use. And just to talk a little bit about this demo, it's weird in this incarnation because they're focusing so much more on the story. And the first thing I say is, okay. When has a story ever been the essential thing to a crossover like this? Let's be real. We're looking for an excuse to bring Marvel and Capcom together for a fighting game. Do I need a novel for that? No, absolutely not. In fact, these are the games that have been so scant on story it's not even funny, but they're loved because of the action. MVC2 is another great example. I mean, there's kind of some innocuous villain, Abyss, at the end, and you sort of knew it was a crossover. The ending was sort of a short comic. The beginning was sort of like a short comic. That's all you needed. There's no interrelationships or context for all this. So I don't know if it's due to pressure of some of the more current games, Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5, everything going Mortal Kombat. Yeah,
Kombat 9 and 10 were huge on story. Yeah, so this is like porn.
Yeah, pretty much, and then even Injustice.
Light and get to the important part.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, and here we have it. MVC3 kind of started this push. You had Galactus as the last boss, and this tie-in kind of bringing the major villains from both sides, like Doctor Doom, Wesker, and a few others ended up working together to try to execute this plot.
That does sound like a porn.
See? But here you have
that's dudes. I don't like that part.
Right? It's unbalanced. There's what you have in this world though. There's like this merger, and the idea is the Capcom and Marvel universes have had this forced merger. Ultron from the Marvel, and what's interesting here, Marvel seem to be pulling a lot more familiar MCU cast.
Oh yeah,
first one. Yeah, we're throwing in a lot of the Avengers members very early on, and even like I said, they're the villain. I mean, of Ultron from the Marvel side, and they're pulling Sigma from the Mega Man X series from the Capcom side. They agreed that organic life sucks. It all needs to just get erased and become something cybernetic, and they fused into Sigma Ultron Sigma rather.
That sounds like Ultron. You can't trust that guy.
Yeah, you can't. But that's really what struck me about this. There's a bunch of cutscenes, and it's all this everyone going against Ultron and his minions, and it's been it's 86 days since the convergence and all the rest of this. And
didn't they release a bunch of cutscenes at E3?
Yeah, they did beforehand too.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of that. I was like, wow, this is. Yeah, and again, I'm pretty much hands off on this, but I remember seeing some of those, just for the sake that I knew that we'd talk about it again. I watched a bunch of them. Like, this is a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Just from a longtime MVC fan, to me, it's pretty needless. I appreciate the gesture, the time, but I don't need that to sell me an MVC game. I really don't. The draw of these is. This was really the fighting game that brought team play to the forefront. It had been done before. Fatal Fury, some of the SNK games, especially, and Capcom vs. SNK later in the crossover series, others have done it. To the extent that MVC has not quite. It was able to really take the whole tag teaming to another level. And it was, most importantly, able to do so without a huge convoluted story and everything else. It's just fun. It's just fun, and it is something refreshing to see. So I'm hoping the whole game doesn't get too diluted out because of how heavily immersive all that is. Really, I'm just looking for good core mechanics, good tight gameplay. Not going
liking that.
What right now?
You're liking that the gameplay.
I like it. I do. The whole easy combo thing right now. Now this could just be because I'm only seeing a little bit of the demo. That doesn't seem as overkill as I thought. I was really worried about that when they're saying, oh, well, to make combos easier, we're mapping it so you just have to keep mashing one button to, do a thing. And that's kind of gimmicky to me. There's another game that a few others I played that have made higher-end supers easier to access. I can think back to one Bloody Roar series I used to love to play. I wish they'd follow that up. What the heck? Come on, Hudson, where are you? Well, no, I forgot Hudson's pretty much dead. Regardless. In Bloody Roar, if you just hit the L1 and R1 buttons together, you could do a super. And if you did so, yeah, you'd execute the move, but it was at less potency. It just wasn't as powerful as if you did the full combination for it. Okay, I'm fine with that. But it's just kind of awkward here in MVC where, like, if you keep mashing square, for example, you can bust out a short ground combo. You still have to know your chops to do the air combos, to do, like, your full links and everything. So, it doesn't seem as corny as I thought it was going to be at first. I might be missing something there, and I think if that is overblown, I think that's really lame. The fighting game community is one of the most talented out there, and I understand wanting to make things accessible. I can't see that being the way to do it, though.
You gotta be careful. No, the fighting game fan base. Oh,
Yeah.
They are a hardcore bunch, and they are fickle.
Yes.
Oh, if you get it wrong and you don't fix it,
Yeah.
nowadays they can. Before, if your game was wrong, that's it, and that could kill your company.
Could. It
And,
could.
you know, if you put all your all your eggs in that basket, that would be it. I don't really consider myself part of that anymore, but I certainly was for a very long time. It's like, oh, and there was a couple Mortal Kombat's like, this, especially 4 kind of buried Mortal Kombat for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Nowadays they'll rip you up. So I'm glad to hear this sounds. I'm glad to hear that where it counts, this is good.
Yeah. So we'll see. And the one thing I'm curious about too is how the some of the new systems like the Infinity Gem system will interact with everything. I haven't run them all through conclusively with everybody yet and every super, but basically part of the new system is there's an Infinity Gem activation which you have available, and depending which one you activate, you gain different properties that'll add on like some of your moves and stuff. So a lot of fighting games have this these days, like a rage mode, an EX mode. Tekken does it when you push low health, your attacks start doing more damage.
Oh my god, that's something good to say about Tekken. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that again. I'd never heard of that. That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, rage mode started. It's not new with Tekken 7. It was actually something done in 6 as well, but it fits well. Street Fighter 5 has well, I'll go back even further. SF4 had your focus attacks and focus cancel. You take that into 5, and you have your new techniques there, and your arts to burst into. So there's all those little modes and stuff like that, but they aren't super cheesy, and they work with the gameplay. So I'm gonna be watching this one close. I have not pre-ordered yet, and that's only because it's funny. A lot of people haven't pre-ordered yet because there's like, well, wait. Should I wait for Ultimate Hyper Super Turbo Edition Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite 5 before I pre-order?
Right. You talked about because they'd release some really weird DLC packages and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they still got the offer going. Here's the thing. I think we're going to see Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, or whatever incarnation is going to be called, really soon after the release. It happened for MVC3. I'm sure we're going to see that done here. So I'm not as in a rush to get this one as I was MVC3 when that hit. So.
Huh. All right. Well, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I just remember watching some of those cutscenes. I think it was like Rocket Raccoons talking with Chris Redfield. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And they're talking like they know each other. Like, what?
Yeah, the basic premise is there's supposedly with like in these 86 days or whatever post worlds merging, I guess like the major heroes of each, and I guess some of the villains have had time to like form a coalition to try to take out Sigma/Ultron. Okay. So, but still, it's just it feels forced right now. So
even from this outsider's perspective,
yeah.
So you know what else was forced? Segue.
Love it.
Actually, not forced as much as it was an accident. It came out this week that Walmart had put the Super NES Mini up for pre-order.
Whoops!
Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't.
This was awesome. This is such a fail. It's so great. I'm all about laughing at the fails this week. So this is not so much Nintendo's fault. Actually, from what I understand, it's just solely Walmart's fault. But so basically, the SNES Mini came out for pre-order on the Walmart website, and in minutes, that got grabbed really quick, and it sold out. All the things that they weren't supposed to do got sold out in, I guess, from the reports I saw, literally in minutes' time. And what happened after that is what should have happened after that, but the whole thing is a catastrophe. Is that Walmart said, sorry, technical glitch, it was never supposed to come on sale, and they yanked them all back. They canceled every single order.
Ouch.
There's so much wrong with this from start to finish. I mean, this is why I said I'm going to actually, in a few episodes ago, I said I'm going to actually put an emulator together that is going to be as similar as this SNES Mini as possible. And I'm just not going to stress. I'd like to get one for my brother for Christmas, but I probably won't. I will not sell my soul to the devil for one of these things. So I'm just going to put together an emulator, see how close I can get it, and just not even stress. Just not. This is minutes gone from Walmart, which is not the biggest online seller, but is one of them. And minutes, and they had to cancel them all for a 30-year-old product. I'm sorry, 25-year-old product.
Ay.
This is ridiculous for something that I'm pretty sure I spent more on lunch today than they spent making one of these things. And all I had was a sandwich.
Butter sandwich?
No, peanut butter sandwich.
Okay, fair enough.
Wait, but this is so dumb. I mean, we've talked about this at times. This now where I will bitch about Nintendo is the fact that they're making this thing so difficult. This is so stupid. No, why? I mean, we've talked about this.
Yeah, it should.
I think this is great news. Well, not great. I think it's interesting. Let me rephrase. I think it's interesting news because, again, in just minutes, it disappeared and the pre-orders were gone, and they had to give everyone their money back, and that's very interesting. That's very intriguing. That's a shame. And if I was one of those people, I would be wholly pissed.
Yeah.
But because probably like, oh my god, he actually got pre-order for it. I can't believe it.
Nope.
Chosen few. And nope, gone. You know that's how people felt. Like, especially the guys like, I got 5 and I sell the other ones for 10,000.
Yep.
And gone.
You know,
it's what for this.
It's like, look, you know the demand's going to be there, and here's the funny part. While I didn't hear about this thing specifically, there was a little bit of talk this week about how some people are waiting to see if a fully unlocked version, like with a bunch of playable games, will be available like on eBay or something at some point. And people just wait for modders to do it.
Somebody gets their hands on one, that's it.
Yeah.
It's done. I'll be playing Star Fox 2, and I won't even want to play Star Fox 2. I'm going to play it because you guys won't sell any good ones. So. No, it was kind of funny. I was at work, related to my job. I came across somebody who had a Super Nintendo out connected to their TV.
Oh.
And, wow. And does that work? Does Super Nintendo work? Yeah, we got it at a garage sale for $10 earlier this week. That is awesome. Like, that's vintage, right? It was a younger girl, so I don't know if she knows these things or not. And it's like, oh yeah, no, it's we were there, and it was, that thing's probably worth a lot of money if it works really well. It's like, yeah, no, for the actual thing, $10.
Oh my gosh,
$10. Which I know is really hard and rare to find now. Find a Super Nintendo worth some $10. That was obviously someone who had no idea what they had on their hands.
Oh man, yeah, like my SNES, I still have a carrying case for that thing with my games, and I keep that in a good spot.
We had one for the family, and my oldest brother took it many years ago with him to college when it was still a relevant system, and so I've not seen that poor thing since. That took me off. I was playing Mortal Kombat on that.
Yeah, it was funny, as far as the 16-bit and why this is just such an important release that I hate when I keep hearing news about the stuff getting bungled about this. I own both. I had Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis coming up, and while I love my fair share of Streets of Rage and like Vector Man or Sonic on Sega, there's some stuff I can only do there. Super Nintendo was the one that won out in the end. This long term, man. This is where I played the most titles and just had the most long lasting games. So it is always going to be a classic in that regard.
It got embarrassing at one point. If you just had a Sega, you were like the poor kid. It got embarrassing after a while. It really is like, well, I have a Super Nintendo too. Okay, all right, that's
okay. All right, it's fine. Yeah.
But if I just got a Sega. Dorky playing Sonic. We'll get those rings. That's what it was like.
Blink, 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 blink.
You just had a Sega, though, didn't you?
No, I had both.
But for a while, you just had a Sega.
I'm trying to see which I got first. No, I had a...
Oh, wait, no, that was the handheld
That's a handheld you're thinking. Because now my first foray into handheld was Sega. That was on game. That was strictly Game Gear. I didn't have a Game Boy or any of that.
Those things were cool, but then they have like a 5-minute battery life.
Oh man, the battery died so quick. Like it was like holding a big '80s brick. While you were playing it too. I didn't pay attention to that at the time, but after Game Gear, man, I really didn't get anything else. I pretty quickly followed Nintendo. I got the Game Boy Pocket when that hit. Of course, that became later on, the Pocket Color, the Game Boy SP, and the SP rocked. That was, I think, the last cartridge handheld I had. So,
I remember my brother and I each got a Game Boy, the original Game Boy, the year they came out for Christmas, or when they came out in the U.S. And that was just Tetris and connecting them to play against each other. Blew our mind. Not to mention that we're holding on to a handheld Nintendo, basically, which this looks so great. This is awesome, and yeah, it was just mind blowing at the time. And if they were ever to release that Game Boy now, I'm sure they'd come out with a Game Boy Mini and it'd be the size of your thumb, and 5 games, and they'll come out with 10 of them.
Of course,
just 10. So
good luck pre-ordering.
Why do this? I think this is, we've talked about this and why we think they're doing this. This is obviously a greater marketing scheme, and it's just not going to work.
No.
Just not. This is not going to get people to buy your other systems for hundreds of dollars more so that they can download these games. I mean, this is not the kind of name recognition you want.
No. I think if this plays into the larger paranoia thing we've always talked about with Nintendo and their branding. It just seems to be the thing they struggle to conquer. I think if they could do so, there'd be such a cleaner message coming out. But we've seen this from the releases. The other Nintendo Mini. Way before that, I was talking about Smash Brothers and how paranoid they were about one of their games being played at Evo. How they were worried about all the rights and everything. It's like, look, guys, just.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised because you seem calm about this. You really want this one.
Oh yeah,
are you just content that you're not going to get it? Is that what's going on, or than getting an emulator?
More the latter. I'm not getting too worked up about it. Like I'm sort of in the camp of it'll be what it'll be. The weirdest part about this is maybe it's because my Super Nintendo is in really good condition. Like,
there it is.
All my games are in really good condition, and honestly, there's just a few here, like the other Star Fox and some stuff I hadn't experienced that I'd be able to play here that I wouldn't be able to play otherwise.
Do you have it hooked up to your current TV?
Well,
that's one of my bigger questions. I meant to ask this when I saw somebody earlier with the Super Nintendo this week. How's that look on your flat screen? How's that look with no analog?
The way it scales, as far as like the screen ratio, don't expect it to go to a full stretch. Like as far as when you're actually looking at your full game, they're sort of built in the bounds that they were built. Your screen's not going to get any larger than that. So there's no automatic scaling or anything like that. So it's sort of best way I can describe it. It's sort of like boxed. Like,
but does it bleed? That's because that's a common problem you find with some of these older systems on newer TVs. Is a lot of bleeding.
Right. Hey, I'll be honest. My most current TV monitor that I actually recently switched to, I've actually not tried it on that. On my previous one that I'm going back to, I actually didn't notice a whole lot. But then again, I didn't have as much of a sampling. I was mostly playing Super Metroid and Final Fight on that. I want to see it with a few other games, and I should actually test it on this. But no, I'm actually looking at it. I got it all. It's all boxed up in a carrying case right now. I don't have it hooked up, but I do have the AV jacks to do so. So.
Yeah, see, now I wish I would have kept one of my older TVs. I had a 32-inch Sony Trinitron. Those things were. Do you remember those?
Yeah, man.
Stuff back then. Oh, I mean, who carries around that 10,000-pound beast? As soon as I could get rid of that thing, I did. So, but now I wish I had it. Now it's kind of funny. Now those older, especially the old flat screen. Ones,
man.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, those are the best way to play these retro machines now.
Oh, they are. They really are. So if you got that lugger of a TV in the back or somewhere, up in your attic, set up a little retro station somewhere.
No joke.
Man,
my brother's got one set up in kind of the family room. It's in a kind of shelf thing. It's the old TV with the Nintendo there, and
awesome.
Yeah, they play. Last time I talked to him, he's like, "Yeah, we're playing Contra." Wow, that's a lot of killing for your kids. But yeah, so should I go on with my other Nintendo news?
Yeah, hit it.
All right, ripped him a new one. Now I'm going to give him a Band-Aid. Let's see, where is it? Here on our list. Where'd it go? Oh, yeah, okay. Nintendo Switch, selling well. Actually selling better than originally anticipated. Just a small little blurb about this. The Nintendo Switch has sold another 2 million units, and they are now projecting they will exceed their original projection of 10 million in the first year.
All right.
Yay for Switch.
Well then.
Do you buy this? Do you think they'll actually exceed it?
It's gonna come.
Will it get 10 million in the first year?
It's gonna come down to how the games take. If the games take well, I think they'll do it, no doubt. If not, no. We said Nintendo has so many recognizable major IPs that there's a lot riding on those titles. I mean, like your Zeldas and everything else. Right. As long as you keep having good critical reception for those, I don't see what would bar their success. No matter how awkward an additional mode or whatever else would be, yeah. So
well, you see, I mean that's the thing, because the two major sellers for their games so far has been obviously Zelda,
yep,
and Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
So what other tricks do they have? I know they're working on a Mario game. I don't know when that was projected to come out. Is that supposed to come out in the first year? You know?
I was trying to see when that was due. I didn't have a date for it. I can pull one though. I know there was some talk with the next Mario Kart coming out. There was some issues. They were trying to figure out if they want to leave the blue shell in or out or not. But that's neither here nor there.
But the other big one has been ARMS, and I've seen some ads for ARMS. I actually saw some early footage of that. I mean, I can see if you've got a Switch, yeah, get ARMS. Why not? That looks like an interesting fighter type game.
Yeah,
boxing kind of fighter type game. But how many more tricks do they have in their bag? I mean, what? So there's Mario, and there's going to be a Pokemon at some point, I'm sure. What other tricks do they have? Donkey Kong's not really a huge draw. There's Smash Brothers. I'm sure that'll be a big one, but I don't think that's coming out the first year.
Well, Super Mario. Well, I think we already said Mario still, but I think it's important to point out Super Mario Odyssey. I think that's going to be a pretty big deal. You have some. There's some sleepers that have potential here. You remember Rayman?
I remember the mascot. Yeah.
Yeah. Rayman Legends. Is going to be one on Switch. That's I don't know about that. That's a 50-50.
That's interesting because Sony came out with the Crash Bandicoot Legends, and that apparently did really good.
Yeah,
and sold way better than they expected it to. So maybe that will do well.
They've got enough here to float. Here's what's neat about the Switch: you got the exclusives, but you've also got the stuff that you see everywhere. There's like the NBA like 2Ks. There's like the Elder Scrolls stuff, like. Some of the more generic things you're seeing, like cross-platform, all those things are there with those IPs we know, with stuff like Rayman, and also, do not forget Fire Emblem. Freaking Fire Emblem. That is so popular. Like, I think if you could take stuff like the likes of, there's a couple Fire Emblem games planned, in fact. You take those, maybe with, the new Yoshi game, Metroid, some of the other stuff coming out.
Well, they did announce that they're making a new Metroid. That's right, but that's not coming in the first year. There's no way.
No,
that's probably 2-3 years away yet.
But yeah, it's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mix of what you actually get your hands on with and what's going to build expectation. So
yeah, I'm sure they'll sell 10 million.
Yeah,
I'm still not sure if they're. I still don't think. I am not sold at all that they'll do it in the first year.
Right.
There's a cap here. And it all comes down to these exclusives, because all these other games, in large part, are either coming out on other systems or have already been out on other systems. So I'm still not sold at all that they make that 10 million cap in the first year. That's why I'm asking about these exclusives, because that's what's going to do that. So I think a lot of that may come down to Mario. If Mario doesn't come out in the first year, I don't think it hits it. So but that's the benchmark they put there. I'm still not sold at all. This and I am in no way supportive of this junk system.
Talking Time will tell.
Get your retro system instead.
God, yeah, I'm with you. I'm in no rush to. I'm not going to go out and buy a Switch myself, but it's going to be interesting to see what this actually how this folds out. So
it's so hilarious. Everybody wants what they did 20, 30 years ago.
Right?
There's a handful of people who want what they're doing now.
Who knows, man? Well,
speaking of which, let me do it. Let me do it. Speaking of which, there's another gaming console where they're doing something that people may not like right now either. Why don't you tell us about that, Ian?
You missed it. Not where I was going, but I'll go with that one. It's where this is PlayStation. This is with Sony PlayStation Plus for the UK branch. So it turns out the price is going up for subscriptions. That's if you pay an annual sub, going up from £40 to £50. That's about the equivalent to roughly $80 up about 15 or $20. Also, if you're doing the quarterly, from £15 to £20, so about $30 up to 40ish or so. And then the monthly going from £6 up to £7. Now,
what's that for the dumb Americans like me?
It's about $11, $12 up to not much, like 14 or so. There, it's roughly a little under double. Is what it is. Not counting current exchange, but yeah, I mean the whole point is a pound is worth more. But hey, yeah, I mean there's some. The one thing that struck me about all this, hearing about it at first, is okay. Those who were already on a recurring rolling sub plan, who pay for their time well ahead. I believe there is the cutoff date of as of August. Once all these changes actually take effect, it's just retroactive. They just go. The only heads up that hey, there's going to be some difference in pricing. I mean, is a very general announcement, but if you're already on it. If you're already paying, I mean, you just kind of roll into the new plan, and that's something that not everybody pays attention to, and that you start actually building up some extra charges for. So I really don't like that. Even more important, though, is the question, I think the larger debate it brings up of, what are you paying for when it comes to this subscription model? The issue is you've got so many competitors these days for PC, for so many other online services, but where you can tangibly look at, here's what I'm paying and here's what's for. Well, I already pay for an internet connection, so what am I paying on top of that besides the game? There has to be, I think, I'd argue for a successful service, there has to be something you can reach out to and say, this is what my money's going to. It's harder for me to put that together for PlayStation Plus. Now, I've had PlayStation Plus before. But as far as the service and the additions you're paying for, like for the jumps in the market, like the little discounts, the extra stuff you get in the PSN store, or some of the extra it just doesn't. I don't think it's in the same league as stuff like Steam, as some of the other things Valve have offered, as some of even what you see offered, by Square and some of the other makers. It's just it's at a really precarious point right now. And I'm not convinced that adds up to the same level for buyers.
Yeah, I let mine die. I didn't renew it.
Yeah,
it means I set it to not automatically renew. I got a year, and I said no, I want to know. Actually, I think I had it for 2 years straight, and I let it go. That was important for access to being able to take on other people in Mortal Kombat X when that game had kind of run its course. And I wasn't playing a lot of console gaming anymore. I was like, yeah, I can still do Netflix, so I'm good. So I don't use it. And I for games that I don't play with other people with and stuff like that. I can still access all the DLC. So
right.
So I have not missed it. That being said, I've been considering getting myself back on Plus. There was a couple features that I thought were interesting. But yeah, this is kind of more reason for me not to.
Yeah, and while it's only something that's affecting, those in like UK, Europe right now, it always points at larger trends that could be happening. And hey, like you're saying, it doesn't exactly make me want to get back into Plus any day soon. So forget it. I'm good. I'll just stay off of that.
Yeah, this is a bad move, Sony. Bad. Well, what about for you, man? Because you're gonna have Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah, but even then, see, it's weird. PlayStation Plus doesn't play into that at all. Like I don't.
No?
Like, I mean, if I wanted to pre-order MVC, Okay, or like let's say I want to go and out and get like the Ultimate Edition. Like, maybe I could impact something price wise in a very small way. But that's it. The point is, there's not some additional feature I'm getting onto MVC or something else I play just because I have PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, but can you access online play without it?
Yeah.
See, now you couldn't do that. Okay, see, now I know with some games you can't.
That's true. That's true. And
so that's why I brought that up.
And I think it's a good thing to highlight. It's one thing if you play directly into the service that like you have to have this to participate, but you don't. So with that gone too, again, I ask, what is it my extra cash is going towards? And it's funny, one of the things that's been floated, some people are saying, well, Sony's had some pretty big investments in some movies, that are struggling, and some of their stocks have, stagnated and capped out. So what are they getting out of the deal? I don't quite buy into that as much because I believe those divisions are separate enough.
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, I don't. That's what I find that kind of a weird argument for it. Those
make shitty movies, so
yeah.
So I'm good with that. Let that die. Let's better make it back to Marvel.
Thank you much.
Have you heard about how crappy the Emoji Movie is?
Oh yeah, that was funny. That was one of the things cited. Some people are saying, "Oh well, Emoji Movie, tanking out so bad," and others are like, maybe they just need ways to regain, amp up profits. But completely different schools of departments here. I don't think that has anything to do with it. So,
and there's no way Sony, at the end of the day, there's no way Sony would let the failing part of like their movie industry, or their movie division affect their gaming, especially now when they're not just winning in gaming right now. They're ponying and flexing at everyone else. They're flexing at Atari right now. Bring your console. Bring it. I'll show you how to console, Atari.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean they're still rocking the field, so there's not I don't feel that they're pressed into a corner gaming wise at all. So,
and that being said, I don't like this move.
No.
Did it happen to say why they were doing this?
I don't have a why. It's really speculation at this point, but I'm sure. I'm trying to see if there's some official press statement as to why it's going up. I just saw the announcement. Pretty frank, stark, and simple.
I mean, again, for myself, for someone who most of my console gaming is single player stuff, or they have multiplayer, but I just don't use it too much. When I multiplayer, I mean, I think of the PC, and that's just after years of experience. When have I enjoyed my multiplayer experience the most? On the PC. When I'm playing Diablo, when I'm playing first person shooters, which is always a better area. I'm sorry for those of you who disagree. If you have not played a game first person on your PC, you have missed out. That's a whole different thing that you've missed out on. When I think of World of Warcraft, or MMO games, I don't. Console doesn't even come to mind.
Funny how that works.
So I just, so I had to have it for Mortal Kombat X, which I didn't care. At that time, I was making money hand over fist, so I'm like, whatever. But it's like, all right, well, I'm done with that. And like I said, I can still access everything else I want to do with this thing.
Yep.
I can still do it. So why let this go?
I don't see it.
So for myself, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll get back on it. And I'm just kind of like, no. Good job, Sony. maybe Atari can teach you a couple things.
Well, someone else does have their eye on consoles big time in a big way, and that is Capcom. We talked for a long time that Capcom has had its struggles. They've done weird stuff with DLC up and down, much to the chagrin of fans, especially the awkward releases of costume packs and everything else. But
Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. And 4 and a bunch of other stuff, man.
But mainly 5.
And Mega Man. Oh, poor Mega. I don't even want to open that can of worms. He's been mistreated so many ways by Capcom, but kind of why the creator left. That aside, recent presentation from Capcom's quarterly financial meeting. Heck, if that's any indication, then they're really, really starting to push what they're doing on consoles more. They've Monster Hunter World and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite have really generated a lot of hype. And they really want to ride off that. Also, it's funny to mention, about 74% of Capcom's total sales in the past quarter, which ended on June 30th, Most of that can all be attributed to stuff that got released in prior quarters.
Hold on. And I'm double checking something here. Yep. Let me guess. Resident Evil 7.
RE. That was part of it.
Bet you that's a big part of it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, just look at some of the. If you look at some of the figures here, it's interesting. The North American a lot of sales have overtaken Japanese sales as far as the growing markets. They had like over 400,000 units sold in North America, 350 grand in Japan, and then 300,000 in Europe, which really has led Capcom to start, especially looking at PlayStation, Nintendo platforms, where they really made a lot. I think the only place they were really lagging was Xbox and PC. Yeah, but really starting to look solid on the consoles again and whatever else. And this is where I've always seen Capcom, I thought, at their best. I mean, yeah, they've had to follow trends and sort of evolve as things have gone, try to follow multi-platforms, keep up with the PC race and everything else. But my memories of Capcom and at their strongest, I mean, because I didn't spend tons of time at the arcades coming up, was during the days of the crossover series, and then late Super Nintendo and Mega Man X runs, and then broadening that out into the games on PS1, and then the keeping the Street Fighter franchise going and the rest of those, and to the point where they used to have the old school. Those of you who played a lot of fighting game in the 90s, you might remember the old instruction manuals had the Capcom Fighters Club. Anybody who was really into SF or the crossovers, it was all about that, getting like the bonuses and the freebies and stuff, and that's linked larger now into the Capcom Cup and what Capcom does with the FGC stuff. But they're definitely in a boom right now as far as games go, and to me, you know what, that's a good thing. Despite how weird they've been with certain things, like I've always thought Capcom had their certain place in like the gaming stratosphere. They're just one of those groups that I would feel awkward without.
Agreed.
Especially because of the IPs that they have under their belt.
I mean, the Resident Evil series has always been stable for me when it comes to them, but there's been other ones. Not Marvel versus Capcom. I left fighter games for Capcom a long time ago, but just not my flavor. Just not my flavor so much. Yay for Capcom. No, stop being stupid with your DLCs.
If they could fix that part, they'd really have it.
And release a quality game at release.
There you go. And not have billion patches. Although we'll see that regardless, I'm sure.
No, patches are a thing now. That's just. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that. As long as you can tell, and you can tell, even a casual gamer can tell if somebody put out a final product at release or not. Even if some things were missed, and so you can tell. There's a polish to a finished game that isn't there when you have in your hands an unfinished game. You can just tell.
You know. So. Well, good deal. Like it or not, I'm going for an info minute. I'm going to call this week's info minute a double info minute.
Wait. Hold on. I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you. Are you going to bring up the shark?
Because you asked, I might not. I mean, some people...
Because that happened.
Oh, some people like to kill the hype. I mean, or, blurt out something early. I mean, I could just not talk about it.
Look, hey, you know what our notes say for Ian's info minute? Ian's info minute. And that's it.
Yeah, because suspense, which we're killing around here, man. I told you you'd love it. I'm gonna deliver. Yes. The first part info minute is finally we've got that update on Michael Phelps in the Shark Week and how that ended. Let me set the stage for this.
Oh my gosh, yes, because it needs to be said. I heard all about this.
So this had a crazy turnout. By the way, as far as viewership, who tuned in to watch this thing, is as far as who looked at it as hyped it has been huge. Yeah, I think Discovery was saying this was the most popular Shark Week ever. As far as everybody who had been waiting and pining for this one, and we got there, and we got to the big moment when Michael Phelps took on the great white shark. It was none other than a CG great white shark.
Everybody wanted to see Michael Phelps get eaten by
I can't understate this enough, everyone. This netted over like 5 million viewers for this segment alone, and it finally came out. It was, the whole televised look at it, and it was like a timed Michael Phelps swimming next to a CG version of Great Shark. And the interesting thing, Phelps himself came out to defend this, saying, "Hey, people, if you're disappointed, sorry if you're disappointed. Oh well, you should have listened closer to the advertising. I sticking by this." You're saying, well, you can't, get a shark to swim in a straight line anyway, and this was, the best we had. So basically, hey, it's your fault for interpreting that wrong. I stand by it. It was awesome.
What did you actually see it? I didn't actually see it, but I heard about it the next day. I heard it in the news the next day. Did you actually watch it?
I watched it.
Was it as bad as it? Because okay, here's the thing. Of course, he's not really going to be racing a shark because it's a shark. So, so I figured. I think at the time, either on or off the show, but when you brought it up, I think I had said this has got to be some kind of simulation. This can't possibly be real. But what I heard was they started saying a couple hours before it happened, they started laying down the groundwork. Well, of course he can't race a real shark, so here's how we're going to do this. So wasn't it something like some ridiculously short amount of time or space that the race was to even make it look like Michael Phelps had any chance at all?
It was a super short distance. It was, of course, they had it. They clocked it, and we're just basically showing the relative speeds, that even a world class swimmer could reach, as opposed to an apex predator. Still, it really the funniest part though, not what people were expecting, and I think that's the irony in all of this too. We've laughed at this for a couple weeks as the hype built, and it's just like, look, how are the logistics of this gonna work? And it was funny. It was fun seeing it all come together.
Oh, I bet it was. Did they even show was there even an audience?
So the way it was set up, it was sort of like out in, it was just really out in like open waters, and there was sort of it was like this digital like finish line. It's kind of like placed over kind of like a superimposition, and there was the boat that Phelps got off of and then started his run. So if anything, no, there's no massive audience, nothing else around. It was more done in like a documentary style. So yeah, there you have it.
That's so great. They got exactly what they should have with that.
They did. They did. It's how it should have turned out, and I'm glad.
His educational channels weren't having enough of a hard time that it's like they do this. But at the same time, what do you expect? What'd you expect?
Actually racing a shark? Maybe?
Yeah,
No.
I guess some people actually thought he was going to race. That'd be so awesome to race these Raiders, and then the shark just jumps into his lane. He's wearing the pizza bikini.
See, then that would attract said shark.
No, that would have been fine. I would have totally thought it was a win if he was wearing the pizza bathing suit, and he was just out there by himself. It's like, oh, he got the pizza. And he took a bite of his swimsuit.
Part 2 is so distant away from sharks, but this is something design-wise near and dear to Chris and I think it shows how important branding is, and most importantly, typography. Recently there was a brand, they're called Belchic, who had a font type they were using that really had a mistaken message that they posted on their Twitter page. The font that they used to make this advertisement for one of their bags, it says, my favorite color, it's supposed to say my favorite color is glitter. The way the font displayed, though, is my favorite color is Hitler. Is what it appeared as. And
let's see this right now. What font is it?
It's their own. The type they look here. I can. I'll post you a link while we speak about that. But
how did you not share that with me? I want to see.
Here you go. Writing that right now. But this we talk about advertising, branding, in graphic design, and especially the way when you're trying to market something, how every portion of that, down to the positioning, down to the font, plays into your message. And there is no better way to get a message across than having a totally goofed up font and to put out something you have to roll back your entire retail campaign on. So they've issued a formal apology about it, and it's just a fun little notice to take towards for anyone in graphic design, anyone in marketing, what you got to look out for.
They put it on a bag.
Yeah.
So awesome.
And I think the apology was issued July 24th. In fact, it says, we are beyond embarrassed about the design of our glitter and caps tote bag. We replaced it with a new design, and we hope you like this one better, and it actually looks like glitter.
How did that get past anybody? How did that get past the people who are mass producing this thing? How did they not call them up like, hey, just in case. Did you really want this? You and I we've both done plenty of production, logo design and stuff. But by the way, fonts are hard. To create your own font is quite hard. But this, oh my god.
It's rough. So if any of you out there, if you're ever involved in any type of marketing or whatever else, don't just Q&A, view and A your products.
No, Jill, I mean, seriously. Somebody seriously got the ball on this.
Yeah.
And whoever designed this had to be like, I'm gonna let it go out like this and see how far yeah. Before somebody says something.
And we found out.
This is like something I would do. to do that, to see how far it would make it out to production. And it made it all the way. I would have had to quit. I'm like, all right, look, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was going to catch that.
And with that, you resign. Love it.
So great. I wish I had one.
Well, it was a limited model, man.
It really, by the way, if you don't look this up, and you should, I'm sure if they just type in my favorite color is Hitler, I'm sure you'll find this bag. Mm-hmm. It really does. It's really close. I don't know how they thought that was a G. By the way, that reminds me, completely off topic. Well, not completely. We talked about Disney a couple times here tonight, or Disney properties. When you see the word Disney, do you see a D or a backwards G?
D.
You see it. Have you heard of this one before?
I have.
I have always seen a backwards G. That confuses me to this day, although I know. But when I was a kid, which I wasn't a fan of Disney to begin with, I'm like, what is up with this G? What is up with it? It just reminds me of that because it's the same thing right now. It's like, what is up with the G on this thing?
It's funny. I think the thing that actually helped me with the Disney logo was when my first time seeing it, it had like the Mickey Mouse ears over it. And naturally, in the West, we tend to, the way we read is left to right instead of the opposite way. So, honestly, it was just for my following the letter form contour. And I'm like, oh, Mickey Mouse ears. And I kind of just my eyes just followed down. I'm like, oh, guess that's a D.
Well, that's right. We established in the review for Atomic Blonde that I can't read. So. No, but for years, forever, I thought there was something weird with me because I always saw. In fact, I remember when I was little asking my stepmom about. I'm like, why is the D like that? She's like, what are you talking about?
I mean,
look, the D. Look, it's weird, and she's like, you're crazy.
I can see it. It doesn't like I can see the backwards G.
Yeah, but then finally, I did hear a report that there is a small minority of people who just. Who see nothing else but a backwards G, and I am one of them. I mean, I know there's a D there. I can see the shape of the D, but even still, it looks like a backwards G. But someone did studies on that, and it's like, yeah,
cool.
There's a very small percentage of people. I am one of them. I am weird like that. But I want this bag. I just want to go out to like some... just like some strip mall or something, or just walk around with this bag. Just see the looks. Maybe have like somebody throw something at me.
Well, I know what your favorite color is now, so.
This is so good. That's great. All
right. But hey, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for tuning in. Remember, toss a like, a favorite, a comment, subscribe if you like, and you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksawmedia@gmail.com. We'll catch you next week. Thanks again, and you have a great weekend.